This is the true story of a family of baseball hustlers. All the fun stuff that happens at baseball games, fireworks, giveaways, you name it, they invented it.
What could possibly go wrong?
10,000 people on that field.
Oh, that's what could go wrong. Every field I see has a piece of my family in it.
Little did he know, redemption is a two-way street.
That's a clip from the new documentary out right now on Netflix called The Saint of Second Chances, a film that was done in conjunction with Major League Baseball, a story that deals with the incredible baseball life of Mike and Bill Veeck. And Anthony Castrovince of MLB.com joins us now here for a little bit more perspective on this documentary, which you can see out right now on Netflix. Anthony, good morning to you. Tell us a little bit about Mike's impact on Darryl Strawberry and the later chapters of Strawberry's career.
Yeah, that's kind of the heart of the movie. I mean, there's many stories within the movie, but as the title implies, this movie is about second chances. It's about a second chance that Mike got in professional baseball after the infamous disco demolition night. He was kind of run out of Major League Baseball at that point, and Darryl Strawberry knew the feeling. You know, in the mid-'90s, he had his drug issues with the law, and he was kind of blackballed from affiliated baseball. So in the spring of 1996, he gets a second chance with the independent, at the time, St. Paul Saints. They've since become the AAA affiliate of the Twins, but at the time they were a nascent independent club.
Yes.
And Darryl Strawberry decided to play there and kind of recapture the fun of baseball. And he went absolutely crazy and 18 home runs in 29 games with the St. Paul Saints. But beyond that, you know, the people treated him well. They treated his family well. And he just had fun playing baseball. And sure enough, George Steinbrenner takes notice of all those home runs in the Northern League and brings Darryl Strawberry back to the Yankees. He ends up making an impact on those 96 world champion Yankees and two other World Series teams before his retirement. And you know, now Darryl Strawberry's clean and sober, and he's a minister, and he looks back at that time with St. Paul as a really important time in his life and career as you know, starting the process of turning his life around.
Anthony, Mike's father, of course, the great Bill Veeck, a longtime owner, a showman, a promoter. He was the man that signed Larry Doby to break the American League color barrier all those many years ago. But there was more to this relationship between Larry Doby and the Veeck family. Tell us about it.
Yeah, there was so much more to Bill Veeck than just the showman, you know, the so-called Barnum of baseball, you know, the Eddie Goodell taking a plate appearance and fans managing in the grandstands and all that goofy stuff he did, the zany stuff. He's known more for that, but that underrates his role in the social change in baseball. And in 1947, Veeck purchased the contract of Larry Doby, and the key word there is purchased. This was a time when, you know, Jackie Robinson, his contract was not purchased by the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was basically pilfered from the Negro Leagues, from the Kansas City Monarchs, whereas, you know, Bill Veeck paid $15,000 for the rights to Larry Doby to the Newark Eagles. And Larry Doby is the first player to go directly from the Negro Leagues to the Major Leagues. And Bill Veeck told Larry Doby, you know, in so many words, we're in this together, because what they were doing was very dangerous at that point in time. And it's interesting because if Larry Doby's wife, Helen, didn't travel with him in those days, Bill Veeck did. And the two would frequent jazz clubs together. And it was a genuine friendship. Their families would vacation together.
Wow.
Years later, Bill Veeck, you know, hired Larry Doby as the second black manager in Major League Baseball with the Chicago White Sox. And so just a great respect between the two. I talked to Larry Doby Jr. about it, and he said, you know, his father trusted Bill Veeck, which was no small thing in those days. And now, to this day, Mike Veeck is still a part owner of the Charleston River Dogs, and until recently was a co-owner of the St. Paul Saints. Both of those clubs do not hand out Larry Doby's number 14. It's unofficially retired by both clubs, and that's, you know, Mike Veeck's way of honoring his dad and the friendship with Larry Doby all those years ago.
Anthony, we now know that this year, of course, at the beginning of the season especially, it was all about the pitch clock and how revolutionary that idea seemed to be, but it not necessarily the case. Was not the first time we saw a pitch clock at a stadium, correct?
Vaguely, sort of. So Bill Veeck, among his many innovations, was the pitch clock. He called it the pitchometer. And many people know about the so-called exploding scoreboard at Comiskey Park. It was unveiled in 1960, and the White Sox hit a home run, and there's flashing lights and sirens blaring and fireworks shooting off. But buried in the lower left-hand corner for a time on the exploding scoreboard was the word pitchometer. And that was it. It was just a word. Now, Bill Veeck wrote extensively about this in his autobiography, Veeck is in Wreck. He said this was his plan, was to have a pitchometer that would basically enforce a rule that was never enforced. But on the books since 1901, that 20 seconds between pitchers with no one on base. The rule was never enforced. We know this until the pitch clock came along. But his idea was to enforce it and to have a siren blaring. And he said it would be so loud that would startle the pitcher, the opposing pitcher, mind you, not the home pitcher, the opposing pitcher, and it could be heard all the way downtown at the pool hall. That was his idea, but he was waiting for the right moment to unveil it. A good pitcher who was also slow and deliberate. He never quite found that moment, and then he sold a stake in the team the following year after the scoreboard was unveiled. So he had the idea, did not execute. And so, by the way, did Mike Veeck with the St. Paul Saints, because he gave stopwatches to the umpires to enforce that rule. But it was just a couple pitches into that experiment, and coaches, managers, players going crazy on these umpires who they didn't really respect. They didn't have the experience to really enforce such an obscure rule. So that didn't really, catch fire either. But now we have the pitch clock and it works. It just goes to show the Veecks were onto something.
Oh, they absolutely were. The film is called The Saint of Second Chances. It's on Netflix today. It's a film done in conjunction with Major League Baseball, and I can't wait to watch it. Anthony, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the day.
All right, Ruffalo, thank you.
All right.